Hey everyone, I'm your host Josh, and you're listening to the Bat Cave, where we talk about movies for everyone. So, if you haven't already, make sure to follow me on Spotify so you can stay up to date on new and upcoming episodes, and also follow me on Instagram. So, your support it's highly appreciated. So, thank you. So, in this episode, we'll be covering the movie Troy. So, I'm really excited to discuss this movie because it's one of my favorites, my all-time favorites. These type of movies actually got me into this genre at a really young age, you know, from my dad, actually. So I'll get into that. So this movie has Brad Pitt, which, everybody knows who Brad Pitt is. It has Eric Bana, which he actually played Hulk back in, I think it was 2004 as well. And then it has Orlando Bloom. He played in Lord of the Rings and a lot of well-known movies as well. So the director of the film, it's Wolfgang Peterson. He worked on The Perfect Storm, movies like Air Force One, and In the Line of Fire with Clint Eastwood. So he definitely, is well-known director. And then the music for this movie was actually composed by James Horner. So definitely well-known music composer. He's worked on a big projects like Avatar, Titanic. He's also worked on Braveheart. So big budget films there. And then the synopsis of this film, it's basically about the Spartans and the Trojans. So they're celebrating together for peace. And then Trojan Prince, Paris, he falls in love with Spartan King Menelaus' wife. And he basically secretly brings her back with him to Troy. So he's getting in a lot of trouble. And at the same time, they're trying to make peace with the Spartans, and he's taking the king's wife. So when King Menelaus finds out, he comes to his brother, King Agamemnon, which he already conquered, basically all of Greece. And Troy is basically the only one left that he hasn't conquered. So the king uses his brother's rage to wage war against Troy, which would be the last kingdom he would need to defeat and rule all of Greece. So he uses the legendary warrior Achilles to join him in this battle. So this battle would be the greatest battle ever fought. So when I first saw the trailer, my dad actually showed me this trailer. It was a teaser trailer, and usually I'm the one that's showing them, the movies that are coming out, or like the best movies that I'm looking forward to. They're the ones that are like, oh, really? There's a trailer for that now? Like, I'm always the one that would be spot on when I used to live with them, of course. And I would show them like, hey, like, guess what's coming out, and I would know like 2 years in advance. So I was always on top of it. But this time, surprisingly, for this movie, my dad showed me the teaser trailer. It was awesome. It actually showed the entire Greek fleet, or the Greek army fleet, sailing towards Troy with some epic music. So yeah, it looked epic. And the ships that were sailing towards Troy, it was like 1,000 ships. So the cast, the movie, the scenery, and the battle scenes shown in the trailer just let me know alone that this movie would be epic. So besides the movie, the trailer delivered as well. Um, it easily, showed the viewer that, hey, this is going to be something this is going to be something that's not going to be forgotten. Like, it's going to be epic. It's worth to go to the movie theater to watch it. Like, it was an awesome trailer. And that was just the teaser trailer. Usually, though, interestingly, teaser trailers actually are better than the actual full trailer sometimes because it gets you hyped. It kind of just like, it literally teases you to the point where you're just like, man, like, what's going to happen, or like that. I mean, just when they show just enough, that's all you need to get excited for a movie. Like, when they show too much in a trailer, obviously, you basically, like, some trailers show the whole movie, and that's kind of irritating because it's just like, all right, what's the point of getting somebody excited if you already showed him so many damn scenes already. So yeah, that was definitely a good teaser trailer. So go into some fun facts. So Brad Pitt and Eric Bana, which is the guy that played Hulk um in 2004. So they actually didn't use stunt doubles during their epic fight during the movie. So they actually agreed each other, or I'm sorry, they agreed to pay each other if one of them accidentally hit each other. So $50 for light hits, and then like $100 for hard hits. So that's like a gentleman deal. That's like a deal for gentlemen's, because they're literally like saying, say, If I hit you by accident, hey, I'll pay you $100 or I'll pay you $50 for each blow. Not everybody can make those, deals. Obviously, they make a lot of money. So, but that's like a gentleman's deal. That's cool. So, Brad Pitt, by the end of the fight and the choreography, he actually owed Eric Bana $750 by the time they were done. And then Eric Bana, this is interesting. Eric Bana didn't, end up owing him anything. So Eric Bana didn't mess up really, or he was spot on when it comes to the choreography because he didn't hit him by accident for real. But Brad Pitt, on the other hand, I mean, you could only imagine how many hits, he gave Eric Bana because he had to pay him $750. That's rough. So Brad Pitt, he trained his body for 6 months to get into basically Greek statue shape for this role, and it shows. So he actually struggled and said it was torturous because he had to quit smoking because he had to get into like the top shape for this movie. I had no idea he even smoked. I mean, somebody that's in his shape and has to be healthy and stay physically in form. I never imagined him being a smoker, but hey, you never know. So he also ironically tore his left Achilles tendon during filming. So if you don't know who Achilles is or you're not familiar with his character, then just watch the movie and you'll actually understand the reference. But if you do know who Achilles is and you're familiar with his story, then that's ironic. Like he tore his Achilles tendon during filming. Interesting. So Garrett Hedlund, which is Achilles' cousin in the movie, he won the role of Patroclus 1 month after landing in LA to basically pursue his acting career. So that's impressive. I mean, it's competitive. Everybody's trying to be an actor. Everyone wants to be famous. Everybody wants to land all kinds of roles. And even current actors that are well known are still auditioning for big budget films. So the fact that he won the part is impressive. That's really cool. And how fast he got it too. And then interestingly enough, so Christopher Nolan was offered to direct the movie. Although I wouldn't have wanted that to happen, but it's interesting to think about that. Like imagine he did, direct the movie and how it would have played out. So that's something to think about. So everything that happens is obviously meant to be. So I'm glad that he didn't direct the movie because, it wouldn't have, made the end result that it had now. And it wouldn't have been what it is today. So, but to think about it, it's cool to think about like, it's like cool to wonder how this movie would have came out if Christopher Nolan made it. Interesting. And I'm a huge fan of Christopher Nolan, by the way. Obviously, he did all the Batmans. But anyway, different topic. So another fun fact, all the male cast had to wax their chests for the movie. So that must have been like painful and, just inconvenient. So some highlights of this movie, like the main highlights, the opening battle. Definitely. So the opening battle is definitely a highlight of this whole entire movie. So the battle between Achilles and a huge, intimidating warrior was impressive and unexpected for sure. So it's slick and brutal simultaneously. So every time I watch it, it never gets old. The battles throughout the movie are intense and epic. And it's a large scale action movie. So it immerses you into the movie itself. So you feel the realism and intensity when watching it. And that's what movies are all about. Like, that's why I'm into the surround sound. That's why I'm into humongous screens. And besides the movie theater, like if I could, I would go to Best Buy, use my Best Buy credit card and buy a freaking 80-inch, 85-inch Samsung or what's that other brand? I can't remember right now. But I would buy a humongous TV. I like to be immersed in what I'm watching because it basically, it plugs you into the film. I love surround sound, and I get that from my dad, and it was hard, just a side note beside, like coming back to the highlights. But a side note, like I would watch, like my dad got me into the whole surround sound and epic scale, and hey, it has to be like this, and This is how we watch movies. And then my mom, I love my mom, but she would always like turn it down, or she would be like, she would get anxiety because it was too loud. And so she would always come and like turn down the knob of the speakers, of the surround sound speakers. And we'd just be like, Mom, like, come on, just let us enjoy this. Like, this movie is epic. It's perfect. Like, it's not too loud. It's a perfect volume. And she would be like, no, niño. Like, no, it's too loud. And I'm just like, oh man. But me and my dad, when we were home alone, and say if my mom went to the store, she wasn't home, we would be like, all right, let's put it loud. Like, let's put it, let's like, turn up the volume how we want, right? And watch the movie how we want. Man. Yeah. And then it's crazy now being married, I'm not living with them anymore, obviously. So it's like, it's different now, and then now with my wife, it's cool because she doesn't mind how loud it is. That comes when it comes to my gaming, and that comes to like just movies in general. She actually doesn't mind the surround sound. So I have peace with that, because my mom would give me anxiety just knowing like, dang, she's going to say something about the volume. Like, here she comes. Oh man. Anyway, going back to the highlights. So it immerses you into the film. It brings you into the experience. That's what movies are all about, especially movies like this, that it's a war movie. It literally sucks you into the experience. Like, you forget, like, you're even sitting in your living room. You know what I mean? That is what entertainment's all about. That is what I love about this stuff. So another highlight is the end battle and the conclusion. It's original. It's unexpected. It has a lot of grief and surprises. And I love talking about the whole thing, but I can't, because that'll spoil it for you guys, the people that haven't watched it, that are listening. So why is it good? The cast is perfectly cast, amazing acting, every character and role is believable, and it's easy to take this movie seriously. There's some movies where just like, did he just say that? Or like, that's not realistic, or why, who wrote this? Like, no, but this movie, it's believable. It's easy to take seriously. Beautiful movie sets. I love Greek mythology, by the way. I mean, the movie sets are beautiful. All the big statues with, the Greek gods that they believed in at that time. It's just, I love that stuff. It reminds me of God of War, too. That's another topic. But beautiful sets. And the scenery doesn't really require so much CGI, although they did use it, but instead they actually used real locations instead of movie sets. So they actually filmed in Mexico, in Cabo, and then also the Mediterranean Sea. So that's beautiful. Yeah, that alone, it's really nice to see where they filmed, and it just gives it more realism. But plot twists, a few plot twists throughout the movie, including betrayal, death of, unexpected characters, and especially towards the final act of the movie. Nothing more to discuss there. I don't want to spoil anything. I hate spoilers, so I don't want to leak that to anyone that hasn't watched this yet. And then memorable moments. This goes back to the opening battle and fight scene. I'm going to keep going to that. Even though I've repeated it multiple times, I'm going to keep going back to it. It's memorable. Honestly, it's impossible to forget. It's a legendary scene that it's easily in the movie history books. It's sick. And then also when the Greeks arrive in Troy, I mean, the fact that they just use that scene to show it in the, teaser trailer, it's a sick scene. It literally is, it sounds cheesy and like I don't even talk like this, but it's jaw-dropping, for real. The amount of ships that they have and the amount of soldiers for the war is massive, and it's vast. It's literally the biggest army I've ever seen in a war movie. Of course, besides Lord of the Rings and movies like 300, that's a whole nother level. That's like, yeah, that's a whole nother level. And then costume design, it was good. They didn't exaggerate the wardrobes like in some movies. It looked like it was from that actual time. So my favorite part of the costume design was Achilles and his armor, and the style of his shield and his weapons and his spear and his sword. It just looks legit. The music score, Definitely a great music score. I mean, it fits the movie perfectly. The music is important since it enhances each scene and it gives the scenes intensity, and it gives it tension, excitement, especially during the battle scenes. That's what brings, this movie or any movie to life. It really like gets your blood flowing. You're just like, oh no, like, uh-oh, something's gonna happen. The music kicks in and nothing's happening yet, but by the tone of the music, you're just like, oh, something's gonna go down. For example, like in The Dark Knight, when you hear that like chilling music score of the Joker, but you don't see him in the scene yet, you're just like, oh man, something's gonna go down. Or the Joker somewhere. He- he's about to blow somebody up or something. Anyway. So the box office. So the gross income this movie made was 497.4 million. So they made a lot of money. And the production cost, it was 185 million. So they definitely made their money's worth. I always like to see that because I can't even imagine. I'm not here saying that I'm a movie expert. I just love it. And I love what the things that I know. I'm not saying I know it all about movies, but what I do know is that I love them. I love how they're made, and I love to break down and like get into the details of how they're made when it comes to music, cinematography, screenplay, the script, how it's interesting how they like put it all together. That comes with every movie. So the critic reviews. So Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 54%. That's pretty low. I mean, and like I said in my first episode, Rotten Tomatoes is a tough, critic to please. They 54% is really low for this movie. I mean, again, I think Rotten Tomatoes is just picky. Like they critique movies based on their standards and their perspective, which that's the point of this podcast. You have your opinion and everybody's opinion is valid. But I'm not bashing them, but I don't understand their opinion because it's so harsh. It's like 54%. That's low for this movie. This movie was one of the greats. But then again, that's my opinion. Metacritic gave it a 56%. Still not so high. I mean, at least give it a 70, but that's my opinion. IMDb gave it a 7.3 out of 10. That's better. Okay. And then fan reviews, there we go. So they gave it a 4.4 out of 5. That's more like it. So that's pretty up there. Yeah, that makes sense. So my expectations. I walked into the theater open-minded when I first watched it. I expected it to be good since it had a great cast, and just from the trailer, it impressed me. And my parents are the ones that actually showed me the trailer because my dad was so impressed when it showed the Thousand Ships with that epic music score approaching. Or that epic music score approaching the Trojans. So it looked amazing. And my dad is the one that got me into these war movies in the first place. So the movie won my excitement by his excitement for it, basically. So unexpected outcomes. I had a few unexpected outcomes, especially during the end, but you'll need to watch it to see what they are, especially towards the middle and the final act. Can't say any more without spoiling the movie, so I'll just leave it at that. But those are my only unexpected outcomes. Is it rewatchable? So this came out in 2004. So I still watch it from time to time till this day. To this day. And I never get tired of it. So it's easily rewatchable. And important thing that I want to add to each movie I discuss. So is this is this movie for kids? It's not for kids. The violence is brutal. I mean, it's war. There's also a good amount of nudity, especially one scene, in particular. So if you want to watch this with your kids, this nudity scene is mainly in the beginning of the movie. So close their eyes and forward it for the nude scenes, okay? Or I advise you to. So the movie's message. This is really, really important when I watch a movie. And I think I mainly got this from my mom and my dad. Like, hey, like this movie has a good message. This basically metaphorically tells you this, and this is what you learn from it. Even if it's a bad metaphor, at least you learn something, right? So the movie's message to me is you always have to make a sacrifice any angle you approach life. So you can't really have everything you want and expect no consequence. One main conflict in this movie that stands out to me is having to choose between living a long life to find a spouse and raise a family, living a modest life, being happy, or choosing your deepest ambitions and goals to achieve what you want in this world. And in this case, in this movie, to achieve glory. And that glory and end goal may cost you your soul and your life. So that's the message that I got from this movie. And when you watch the movie and see what happens to the main characters and what they go through and their conflicts and kind of dilemma of what decision to make, what path to take, you'll see that in the movie. You'll see that they struggle with what path to take because they want both, but they can't have both. They have to choose one or the other. So is this movie relatable to me or my life? This is related to the movie's message. So everyone has a choice in life, and there are, good outcomes or consequences attached to to the choices that people make. So I think everyone can relate to this movie regarding Achilles being stuck with two choices that can define or destroy his life and his future. So, but then again, there's some risks that are worth taking as long as it doesn't, risk your life or your family, you know. Did I cry anytime during the film? I actually did tear up in a certain part where one of the characters die, and the way the father grieves over his son, and I'm not talking about a specific father, okay, just a random father grieving for his son. The way that the father grieves over his son dying is heartbreaking, and it's really deep. And the way he grieves, it's really transparent. And the way he grieved in this movie, I can't explain it. It just got to me. And it gets me every time, like, so it was very well done. And I wanted to add a new addition to my episodes, and it's called the Goosebump Experience. So I know I mentioned this twice already, but the opening scene and what happens as the end result literally gives me goosebumps, and definitely a scene worthy of the Goosebump experience. So that's when you witness a scene or something that gets you so hyped and excited that you just get goosebumps all over your body all at once, because what you just witnessed was so sick that you just get a reaction of awe. You're just like, whoa, like, this is like, I don't even use this word, but this is lit. This is sick. This is epic. Like, is this really happening right now? Let's do this. Or at least that happens for me with certain movies or epic scenes. I get the goosebump experience. Perfect example is The Dark Knight. Okay. And the scene where the Joker completely destroys the Batmobile and starts to get away as Batman is pursuing him. So just when you think that Batman is done and he can't really chase the Joker anymore because his Batmobile is trashed, or his Batmobile is trashed. It's basically useless, and so Batman initiates a detachment of the broken and unusable Batmobile, and within it, he deploys something called the Batpod. So he launches it off in a really epic way, and the leftover Batmobile self-destructs. And then he continues to pursue the Joker. I'm getting goosebumps talking about this right now. It was relentless and epic. I feel the goosebumps now. That's why this is the literal goosebump experience. It's real special when that happens, and I got goosebumps talking about this right now. It was relentless. It was epic, and that Batman music score kicked in as soon as it happened. So probably one of my favorite scenes of all time, hands down. Anyways, overall review for Troy. If I get too much into Batman, I'm gonna forget about Troy, and I'm just gonna, be talking about, Batman the whole rest of the episode. I'm just kidding. All right. Overall review. This movie delivers in acting. The acting is great. The casting choice. These guys, man, I bet it's hard to get all the auditions that come. and from well-known actors, I imagine, and have to pick one. That's tough. Um, the topics that they present, which are love, war, grief, and glory. I love those are awesome topics, and they really cover on all of them. When a movie has all those topics and they really get in depth with it, it's a great movie. It's really worth watching. So every character plays their part very well. The screenplay and script is spot on and so realistic. The script, you can have a great cast. And then if the script is trash, then there's no point of the great cast. It's just a fail. But yeah, the scene execution and cinematography are beautiful and impressive. The storytelling unfolds nicely and has just the right pacing. The battle scenes, or I'm sorry, the battle scenes are amazing just to look at. It's on a huge, epic scale that delivers every time, in every way. And then one sentence to think of on the spot that sums up this movie for me.
A legendary, romantic, bloody, unforgettable epic. Woohoo!
And then the overall rating for this movie, I give it a 9.8 out of 10, for sure. So that's basically it. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any requests on what you'd like me to cover next, go ahead and submit them on my Instagram at _Batcave_podcast. And I'll see you guys next time on the Batcave.